Hi, I'm Graham. Welcome back to manvfilm. Happy New Year, and let's just jump into 10 fantastic movies that you can watch on Amazon Prime UK for the month of January 2020. Number 10, Secret Santa. After an unknown assailant spikes the punch of a pharmaceutical family's Christmas with a military-grade version of sodium pentothal during Secret Santa, members of the family must survive the night from the victims of the untested drug. From Adam Marcus, the man that did Jason Goes to Hell, comes this Christmas-themed, chaotic family reunion where, like it says, somebody spiked the punch with sodium pentothal, the drug that makes everybody tell the truth, that loses their id, makes them want to do things that they would normally never do, and it becomes incredibly funny, uncomfortable, extremely violent, and just a complete surprise of a movie. Starts off feeling a little bit ropey, but becomes super awesome by the time it gets to the end of it. Even though it's a Christmas movie and Christmas has passed, I still think it's worth your time checking out, and it'll probably make it into the Christmas rotation next year. Number 9, Horrible Histories, Rotten Romans. Roman teenager Atty is forced to join the Roman army when one of his clever schemes falls foul of Emperor Nero. He is sent to miserable, cold, wet Britain, where the natives are revolting, quite literally. Things go from bad to worse when Atty is captured by Orla, a feisty teenage Celt desperate to prove herself as a warrior. After narrowly avoiding a very sticky end in a bog, Atty uses his Roman know-how to help Orla save her grandma, who's been kidnapped by a rival tribe. Now, I was one of those people that saw the trailer and just did not like the look of this thing at all. I'd never seen Horrible Histories, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I found something that was kind of fun, a little bit interesting. It wasn't a complete waste of time. It does have some historical accuracies in amongst it, but it's completely playful and silly, along with the way with some made up characters interacting with some real historical figures. I thought it was kind of fun. Nowhere near as bad as the trailers made it out to be, and some great British actors doing some pretty fun stuff in it. Number 8, The Report. Idealistic staffer Daniel J. Jones is tasked by his boss, Senator Dianne Feinstein, to lead an investigation of the CIA's detention and interrogation program created in the aftermath of 9/11. Jones' relentless pursuit of the truth leads him to findings that uncover the lengths to which the nation's top intelligence agency went to destroy evidence, subvert the law, and hide a shocking secret from the American public. Now, I'm a huge fan of Adam Driver. I was pretty much guaranteed I'm going to watch anything that he has been in, and I jumped on The Report because it sounded super interesting. But it's a movie all about bureaucracy and trying to figure out the truth and constantly coming up against walls that people put up to, prevent the truth from coming out. And it starts off as really interesting. The subject matter is super important, but it never quite grabs full attention of you. It gets a little bit meandering in the middle, and it becomes bogged under the own bureaucracy that it has, but it's still an interesting performance and a tale that's definitely worth telling. Number 7, Vampire in Brooklyn. Maximilian is the only survivor from a race of vampires on a Caribbean island, and as a vampire, he must find a mate to keep the line from ending. He knows that a child had been born to a woman who had a vampire father, and he searches for her in Brooklyn. Rita's mother, who has died in an asylum, was that woman, and Rita has nightmares that she does not understand, not knowing that she is part vampire. Eddie Murphy, along with Angela Bassett, star in this somewhat horror comedy that never quite hits the mark, but still interesting enough. You get Murphy in a role that's unusual for him. You get these good comedic moments interspersed with these moments of horror as well. You get Kadeem Harrison as a sort of comedic zombie gopher for Maximilian, and it's one of these movies that just kind of has been lost to time. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying it's a curious oddity that's definitely worth checking out. Number 6, Torso. Someone is strangling co-eds in Perugia. The only clue is that the killer owns a red and black scarf, and police are stumped. American exchange student Jane and her friends decide to take a break from classes by going up to Daniel's uncle's villa in the country. Unfortunately, the killer decides to follow them. Torso is one of those giallo movies that feels very typical to that subgenre. You know, at the start of the movie it follows this masked killer, you don't know who it is, picking off people in a particularly nasty fashion. But it's the latter third of the movie that really elevates this above within that subgenre, because it gets an almost Hitchcockian feel as we find our lead actress stuck in a house with a killer who doesn't know that she's there, who has killed the rest of his victims and is mutilating them, moving them about the building, and it becomes unbelievably tense and anxious driven and just absolutely fantastic. And it's the main reason that this is on my list. That final third is truly outstanding. Number 5, Imperium. Idealistic FBI agent Nate Foster goes undercover to take down a radical white supremacist terrorist group. The up-and-coming analyst must confront the challenge of sticking to a new identity while maintaining his real principles as he navigates the dangerous underworld of the white supremacists. Daniel Radcliffe stars as the young FBI agent put into the undercover program here, and he does particularly well. He's really trying to shake that mould of Harry Potter, and he does it particularly well. The story here is kind of atypical of these movies, of an agent going undercover and kind of getting lost within this world, starting to see the people behind the horrific actions that they take forth. One of the interesting facts was how it painted the supremacists as just average white picket fence people, some of them anyway, just having regular lives, being regular people, but having these really wacky, weird viewpoints that just don't gel with the rest of humanity. It's a typical kind of storyline. It's a short film, some good performances, but it never really surprises, but it's still one of those interesting throwaway movies to check out one night. Number 4, Nerve. Nerve is about an online dating game in which people give participants anonymous dares for money. The participants compete with each other to win the grand prize. As the dares get tougher, things get worse when the tasks get increasingly dangerous and lives are at stake. Emma Roberts and Dave Franco star in this unbelievably great movie. I really have a lot of time for Nerve. I've watched it several times and I find it super exciting. There's a lot to say about online, social media, people being the worst of themselves while hiding behind a keyboard. It also shows like two great characters doing exciting action set pieces as the dares get wilder and wilder, and it's super fun. It's really interesting, and it's one of those movies that you can just rewatch again and again and again and always find it fun. Number 3, The Running Man. Ben Richards is an innocent man who is sentenced to the Running Man game show, a futuristic audience participation capital punishment television show. While Ben is running from the champions with chainsaws and sharpened hockey sticks, the host is busy with calls to the network about ratings. One of the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movies that seems to have been kind of forgotten. I'm hoping it's going to get a resurgence because it really does have a lot to say about modern politics and society as it is, as well as being a quirky one-liner sizzle reel for Arnold. He really does have so many here. The action is great, it's bloody, it's fun, it is a typical action movie, but there's a lot more to say on top of that as well. Number 2, Suspiria. Susie Banyan travels to Germany to perfect her ballet skills. She arrives at the Tanz Dancing Academy in the pouring rain and is refused admission after another woman is seen fleeing the school. She returns the next morning and this time is let in. She learns that the young woman she saw fleeing the previous evening, Pat Hingle, has been found dead. Strange things soon begin to occur. Dario Argento's fantastic 1977 Suspiria is one of those movies that just overloads the senses, filled with bright colours, horrible images, this sense of atmosphere and dread that drives all the way through it. It is a terrific movie, and if you watched last month's Suspiria that I suggested, the recent one, and you haven't seen the original, it's now time to go back and check that out. Number 1, Horror Express. In 1906 in China, Professor Alexandra Saxton discovers an ancient frozen fossil in the remote province of Sichuan. He brings the remains of the being in a box to Shanghai and boards the Trans-Siberian train where he meets his acquaintance Dr. Wells. During the trip, a life force trapped in the frozen creature is released, killing and stealing the memories of the passengers. Horror Express is a Hammer movie that is basically The Thing on a train, and it is wonderful. You get Peter Cushing and you get Christopher Lee in fantastic roles as these scientists stuck on this train as they suddenly realise what has happened and they try to solve it. And as if that wasn't enough, you get this fantastical turn from Telly Savalas in the last 20 minutes of the movie where he comes on just pretty much to chew on the scenery and be super awesome, and he is that. I watched this early in 2019 and it was one that I hadn't seen in a long while, and I just fell in love with it all over again. I watched it several times. I think the music is fantastic. I think some of the choices are amazing, and this is one movie that is truly unmissable this month. So there we have it, 10 movies for you to check out this new year. Hope you find something wonderful to watch. Hope you've had a great Christmas, and I will see you the rest of this year with more recommendations. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on manvfilm.